Team Mingo, you maintain possession of the Bible for the second quarter. Please choose your random phrase. No peeking. Your random phrase is, and if I'm being honest, I wouldn't fit in a kangaroo's pouch anyway.
That's why they say you shouldn't put a mic in tights.
That's right. It's an old wise saying.
Okay, let's try this again. Hey, everybody. It is great. Oh.
Delay of game, not having your mic turned on. There will be a 3-point penalty assessed at the end of this quarter.
Ouch. Starting from behind. Let's see if she can recover. Alli Patterson.
I'm sorry, I didn't want you to hear me go to the bathroom a little while ago. Forgot to turn it back on. It's great to be back in my second Super Bowl of preaching. And today we are talking about how you win. If you want to win, then you need to play a long game. One thing I know for sure after being in the Super Bowl is that you don't get to any Super Bowl of football, of preaching, or anything else without learning how to play the long game. Look at this. This is a young Tom Brady right here. I promise you, at some point, he stood on the field right around this time in his life and he said, Coach, someday I'm going to win the Super Bowl. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't fit in a kangaroo's pouch anyway.
Slides in the random phrase
Goes
to a
in
mediocre
early.
The
response.
long game is when we put our eye on something out ahead of us, something of value, something that's worth more to us than what we have in our life today, and we call it and we go all in. God has a long game for your life. And I know he does. I know he does because he is the God of the long game. God himself is playing a game in human history and he invites us into it. The best wins in our life will come when we wrap our life around the long game of God. I think we can learn great long game technique from looking at something that's going on in the NFL this year. If you're an NFL fan at all, then you know who a guy named Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes is the Kansas City Chiefs star quarterback. This guy is something special. 50 passing touchdowns, over 5,000 yards. And the only reason that Mahomes is playing when and how he's playing now is because his coach, Andy Reid, knows how to play the long game in the NFL. The NFL long game is a franchise quarterback, a Tom Brady, if you will. Not that we're not all tired of him, but that's the long game in the NFL. It means a guy whose talent, not just talented, but who the team, the owners, the records, the fans, everybody can revolve around for years into the future. And when someone showed Reid films of Mahomes coming into the 2017 draft, he thought, this might just be my guy. This might be my all-in moment. And they invited him to a pre-draft workout, and at that workout, they saw the X factor, the all-in moment. See, Mahomes has a photographic memory. Just like other NFL greats, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, guys that are either in or on their way to the NFL Hall of Fame. And that was the moment that Reid said, I'm all in. This is my long game. And when he said that, he knew he would have to pay the short-term cost. And he did pay. He gave up draft picks that year and the following year, knowing Mahomes would sit idle for a year, at least a year. And he took all kinds of crazy criticism in the press for walking away from the very good quarterback that he already had named Alex Smith. But he knew what his long game was. He knew the moment to go in on it. And mark my words, one of us will be wearing the Mahomes jersey on this stage next year. That's the long game. I have a long game in my life, and I believe that it's been in me since before I was born, only I didn't know it for a very long time. I started having nightmares when I was about 6, maybe 7 years old, and I had them for 20 years. And the scenario would change, but the pattern of the dream was always the same. Somebody I loved, people I knew, somebody I worked around, they were in trouble. And I had the chance to help them, but I could never do it. I could never do it because I couldn't speak. And I would scream, and I would bang, and I would try to tell them something, and no words would ever come out of my mouth. And I would wake up terrified, clawing at my own throat, convinced that when I tried to talk a word for real, that nothing was actually going to come out of my mouth. And year after year, I watched terrible things happen to people in dreams for 2 decades, and they stopped cold the day that I told God I would go all in on him. I have never had another nightmare. And that was the day I said to him, okay, I will do it. I am yours. Wherever you're going, I'm going. One small step toward him killed 20 years of nightmares, you guys. And I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off because there was a cost, and I knew it in my gut. And I have paid costs. I've walked away from a career. I've gone back to school. I've given up relationships and friendships. I even work for this guy. There's always a short-term cost to our long game, but God has a better win for your life. And whether you know it or not, you are ready to play. Listen to these words from Ephesians 1. Even before he made the world, God loved us, and he chose us in Christ to be holy and without fault in his eyes. God decided in advance to adopt us into his own family by bringing us to himself through Jesus Christ. This is what he wanted to do, and it gave him great pleasure. Friends, God has seen your films, and he went all in on you. He said, you are my Mahomes. And when he went all in, it was with the life of his son. He paid the highest possible cost. When his son came to earth and lived a life you will never be able to live, and he died a death that we deserve to die. You and I are the long game of God, and he is calling us to him through his son Jesus because he's gone all in on us. But some of us are sitting idle. Some of us are on the sidelines, and this will be your all-in moment. Maybe it will be as tiny as mine. Maybe it's one line you'll say to God today. Maybe you will say, God, today, show me how I'm part of your long game. Or maybe you can't do that, and it's just showing up here next weekend. Or maybe it's not answering the text from the person that you know just texted you. Maybe it's just taking the hand of the person you came here with as an act of reconciliation. Whatever it is, I want you to stop messing around with all the stuff that's right in front of you. Give up that tiny, disappearing short-term gain and play for the best wins of your life, the wins that come from wrapping your life around the long game of God. And when you see your all-in moment, do it, because you have a God that went all in on you.